Good evening. I didn't upload a video yesterday because I was traveling, and while I was traveling, there were a few words that I really wanted to discuss. So, all the words that I'm going to discuss today are related to travel. The first word I wanted to, that has been in my mind, that I've also discussed in the group, the English exchange. If you aren't part of the group, it's a closed group. Send me a request. The group's name is the English Exchange. It's a forum where we discuss different topics on English on a day-to-day basis. The first word is this. Yes. We often pronounce it as itinerary, missing out this part of it, the ER and A. So it's okay, according to Indian pronunciations, it's fine to say itinerary, but the problem is while spelling it. Because we are used to pronouncing it as itinerary, we often forget to add the ERA. So it becomes itinerary or itinerary. ER gets missed. I'm a big fan of promoting Indian English because as long as two people can understand each other, I think the purpose of language is solved. So the point of teaching the right pronunciation or introducing students and learners to grammar and other forms of British English, or whatever we call as the right standard English, is because when students are moving to different countries and they're interacting with multilingual people, especially with native speakers, it's become an issue of high importance to be comprehensible to them. You should be able to be understood by them, and you should be able to understand them. So which is why this whole process of teaching learners on how to pronounce it right becomes important. As long as you are able to understand each other, I think it doesn't really matter how you're pronouncing it or how you're saying it. So itinerary is an accepted Indian pronunciation. So, but the problem arises again when you're spelling it. When you have to send an email to somebody, it becomes really important to know how it's spelled. That is why I want to focus on the right pronunciation, which is itinerary. The R is actually pronounced in the right pronunciation, that is the British pronunciation, even the American pronunciation. The Americans and British differ only in few vowel words, like the way they say I in this word. In British English, it's itinerary, whereas in American English, it's itinerary. It's a slightly curved way of saying I. That's the only difference. Otherwise, it's itinerary. The rary is pronounced. This word has 5 syllables. It's I, tin, er, er, e. So itinerary, I, tin, er, e. So it's itinerary. So itinerary, it's got 5 syllables, but we are going to stress on the T. So it's itinerary. So the rary becomes very short, itinerary, but it's recommended that you pronounce the word r, rary, the second r. So it becomes itinerary. A little bit about the word origin for this word. It's very interesting actually. There's a little bit of story behind it. It evolved from the old Latin word called itinerarium. Itinerarium essentially referred to a journey, a path, a march that you take. Then it evolved to medieval Latin, which meant a prayer that you say before you take a journey. And then in old Latin, it completely changed to a map of your journey. So when you take before you take a pilgrimage or travel to the Holy Land, then there was a map drawn with experts that was called the itinerarium. Here I would like to stress about the singular and the plural forms of this, because this is also used in English. Itinerarium is the singular form of the map in Latin, whereas the plural of this word in Latin is itineraria. So this is something this rule is something that we also use in English for certain words, and you will see that this came from Latin. Here I will cite examples like media and medium, Medium is actually the singular form, whereas the plural is media. Datum is the singular form and data is the plural form. So again, it's something that English has taken it from Latin. So similarly, itineraria was the plural of maps in Latin, and the singular was itinerarium. From this word, English borrowed it from Latin, and it is called as itinerary today. And itinerary is nothing but, in today's English, it's nothing but the planned document of travel that you make, with all these stops, where you're going to stop, where you're going to stay, and how long are you going to stay. So it's like the travel plan. So that document is called the itinerary today. So the next word I'm going to be talking about is this. This is the next word. Yes, it's related to travel. We all like to go on this. It's called the tour. Yes, this is precisely why I chose this word, because we always constantly mispronounce this word. It's called the tour. 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 That's how it's pronounced. It's a single syllable word, so there's no stress in it. So it's just the tour. And we often say it's a tour and tour and other pronunciations to it, but the actual right pronunciation is tour. So this again has very the origin of this word is from Greek, which the Greek word of it was tornos, and tornos was nothing but a lath in English. A lath is a machine which uses circular movements or rotations as the key force to make shapes into wood or metal or anything like that. So that was called tornos in Greek, and from that came even the Latin used the same word as the Greek, as tornos, and then from Latin it went to French. The French used it as the word to refer to something as turn. So in French it meant to turn, and from there it came to English as something that you go on a round trip, like in a circular trip, that you go and come back to the same point. So that is a tour for you. In fact, this is a major difference between a tour and a journey. I do wish to do a series on words related to tour and travel, and I would like to deal a little bit more in detail about the difference between tour, journey, and travel. So what's the major difference between all this, and even the word trip or voyage. These are all words that we often confuse. So I would like to do a video on that in the following days. So this word is pronounced as tour. Tour. Just the R is not pronounced. Tour. Tour. And the next word I would like to say, this is something I saw yesterday when I was just boarding my train, and it was clearly written in Hindi. The right pronunciation of this word was written in Hindi. I didn't see a Tamil version of it, but it was clearly written in Hindi. So if you actually even didn't know how to pronounce it in English, and if you know to read Hindi, you can see the right pronunciation there. Tier. I was traveling by 3-tier AC, and I asked my daughter how to pronounce it, and she got it right. So which is why I say teaching phonics to kids is really important. So you catch them young and you teach them all the right methods to them when they're kids. I remember teaching this word as a sight word for my daughter when she was really young, during her first train trip. I remember teaching this as a sight word for her, and I tried to revise it for her yesterday, and she said she got it right. Even if she had difficulties, because she's learning to read Hindi, I asked her to read it in Hindi. So, and it was clearly written tier. So this is how it is pronounced. It's tier and not tire. It's not tire, it is tier. This word has a very nice etymology, word origin, and the story behind it is it came from the word, a French word called tirer, which meant to elongate something or to draw out something, to elongate, to expand something. So that was tirer in French. And then it became the word tier with a different spelling. Tire was the spelling. In French, I think that's how you pronounce tier. Tire, I think it's called tier in French. So the French experts can correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section. But this version of tier with tire as the spelling was something that meant to sequence it or put it in order. First it meant to elongate, and then it meant something to put it in order. And then English borrowed this word from the French as something that you refer to one above the other. So when something is placed on one above the other, then it's called tier, layered. It's called the layering system. It could be something referring to hierarchy in the office, or it could be in a system like the EB bills or your IT returns. There are different tiers of payment, different levels, different grades. So that is referred to as tier. So how do we say this? It's tier. T. The R is again not pronounced. It's not tier. It's like the car. It's like the half R, tier. So tier is something that the English borrowed from the French word tier, which I think today it means the same. So that is about today's episode, and I have dealt with 3 words, unlike my regular videos where I deal with just 2 words. And there are a few more words that I have in my mind with regards to travel that I want to talk about. I would probably do a mini series on this and talk about, like I mentioned, the difference between tour, trip, journey, voyage, and several other similar words that we often confuse, and a little bit more on words that are similar sounding like tier. So in fact, it's a shortcut to say the word tear. It sounds very similar to the tear drops from our eyes. So tear. So it's somewhere similar. The sound is very similar. It's exactly the same as tear. So you can remember it that way. The tear, AC, 3-tier AC. That 3-tier is similar to tear. So that is one shortcut you can probably remember. And so there's similar topics that I would deal with in the following videos, and there might be a little bit of delay here and there in uploading my videos because I'm not at my home destination, and there were other plans in my itinerary that I plan to do in this tour. And yes, so thanks for watching, and as usual, like, comment, share and subscribe. Spread the word, share it across as many platforms as you know, if you really think it's worth it. I do like to listen to more and more feedback. There have been some really constructive feedback over the past few days. There are a few that have been encouraging me to do more such videos, and there are a few others who have given me good critical feedback that is very motivating. I'm glad that people are watching it and giving me such feedback. So keep doing all this work for just to encourage me and to help me help you. So thanks. I do plan to come up with a separate channel for IELTS coaching. If you think there's anything particular that I have to deal with in that channel, please do let me know in the comment section. Thanks, and meet you soon with another video as soon as possible. Thank you once again.